Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This is actually the third part of this energy reading, and so much has been happening, so much downloads. I guess this is the Mars Procyon is applying to sextile Uranus. So there's just so much coming up, and this is Mars hour. So continuing on the two readings, okay, the benevolent power shifts, and the second read, the acting on your dreams reading. Really so much is coming, okay, really so much is coming right now, so much purging, cleanses, um and and if I continue on in that line, now that it's Mars hour, began to talk about the upcoming eclipses and the eclipse series, but what's continuing on to happen is a lot of rejuvenated energy. So some of you are having this rebirth with Mars applying to oppose Pluto. It's not the end of the tail for all of your tails, and that's the thing. That's the upgrade. Mars is conjuncting Procyon. We have sweet separations, yet Mars is going to go over this again. Also, some of you are tending to the expandable children. If you do, you are tending to a 9 to 12 millennia old issue where other people are having, how should I say it, epiphanies in their lives of scales that are not adjacent to the scale. So some people, things fall apart to fall into place, and you are holding that which is kind of like the final card that knocks the tower down and puts it back into place, where things are reassembled. Not back into place where with satanic abuse, but back into place with no ritual sacrifice, satanic abuse, all of these things. You're holding the frequency of changing that. So what it looks like is, in your life, it can look like everybody's life is falling into place where mine is still not. And another thing, all the sweet separations that are happening right now, the actions on your dreams, that it all will be refined. It's not the last word around those relations, okay? Even if you separated, something's going to be pulled back almost from the ashes, to reignite itself. I can tell for when, let's say it was a solar eclipse in April, and I was encountering new energies, and then there was a sort of, let's say, I was tending to expandable children, and that set certain relations or energy connections supposedly apart, but it actually shifted to a more telepathic thing where they would come up to support. When I talk about expandable children, there are hermaphrodite cults, all these things, and they would come to support that, but they would not play the role the boom that it played in, let's say, the solar eclipse. So the changes in my life, and those changes were basically what happened. Now is the same. We are following eclipse season, and in between eclipse seasons, we have this Mars. It's going to go back and forth. So we are still reconnecting with, we are still creating this, okay? We're still creating this, and there's still confrontations, there's still powerful conflicts, powerful enmities or powerful conflicts in the sky. We're going to touch on that point again. It may be confusing right now. As I speak, the moon is applying to square Neptune. So there was a little bit of a relational heartbreak, but also we're going from the square to the trine. So not what you're missing right now. What is missing right now will be replenished even by the trine. The sense of hope that you may be missing right now may be replenished very, very soon. So now there is a certain sort of loss. You could also be in ideation at this time. Kind of savior victim dynamics can play their roles. And the grand disillusionment upon the ingress of the moon into Cancer. But the moon will be in its home sign in Cancer, and then it will conjunct Mars and continue on to trine Neptune. When the moon will be where Mars is right now, then it will trine Neptune. So it's not the final end of the story. It doesn't mean that your separations are not separating. It just means that it's not the final take on what you have been doing. That can mean, for those of you who are going through divorce, you might have to refocus on the issues that you focused on, and you have more and more information about that will tip the scale, shape shift, okay, for the way that the direction is going. For those of you who are going through something, you know, what I mentioned with housing and stuff like that, some additional, you're gonna have to redo what you're doing right now. Okay, you're gonna have to go over this. Even the actions can be something that you will need to repeat in some sense. During this time, when I think about this, on a mundane level, certain strategic moves were made, both economically and in terms of housing, and in terms of banking, certain launches, and in terms of positions, okay, militarily and so on. We will have to reposition. We will have to, very, very simply put, we will have to readdress all the things that have taken place since Mars entered its shade period. That goes all the way up, I think, to the 19th degree of Cancer. And that means, again, it doesn't necessarily mean you will lose your position. It means you're going to have to take these actions again to reinstate something. And you were going to have to look over or look at this thing again. Okay? So you will be having to look again at what you did, and you will be having to take action again on the retrograde and on the direct. Because Mars is a planet of action, some actions are going to be taking place. What that tells me is that, let's say you're a married couple that is divorcing, okay? You're somehow going to have to go through this divorce again. Okay, if it is a contractual relationship, if it is decisions you have made, you're going to have to reinstate them. They may change, the direction may shift, but you're going to be having to take action, go over certain sort of action again. So let's say you separated, and with Mars, the cause can change, because Mars is also your drive for action. Why you're taking the action that you're taking will change. Now with the moon, pay attention to what's happening with the moon right now, because there's both ideation and devaluation as the moon goes into Cancer, but can also be devaluation, ideation, and then kind of settling into applying to the trine. Notice what is the deepest longing that you have. It might be manifested by the moon trining Neptune, I tell you that. But then the moon will be opposing Pluto. So you're going to have to reassert certain boundaries. Now, that can be for various situations. Some cases, people may test your boundaries and think that because you didn't take the final action, then they think they can allow themselves more. And it's in fact not so. However, if you have been oppressing each other in each way, people cannot oppress themselves anymore, and that means if the status quo left somebody in an oppressed state, they will take action and even tremendously courageous action to liberate themselves. Take a look at everything you've done today. You're going to be looking at it again, and very courageously so. So again, people cannot oppress themselves. I repeat, those of you who are holding the frequency of tending to the expandable children, to satanic ritual abuse, to changing the currencies around that, to changing the frequencies around that, you're changing the world. Okay, you're changing the world, and you're claiming your own reset and claiming your own sovereignty. You are the awakening that Lucifer promised in that sense. But those who are still playing the Luciferian role will either have to shift their direction, but everybody is going to try to reenact something again. Something has been shifting into power, and there's going to be a readdressing that power shift in the retrograde. More adjustments are going to be taken, more application, more action is going to be taken. You're going to reestablish your course of action, and so much so that you go deeper and deeper into the core of the issue and change from the core, so that you're truly liberated by the time that Mars continues on into the spring, to in conjunct Neptune. So, and then later to trine Neptune, to in conjunct Pluto, and then to in conjunct Neptune, and then later to trine Pluto, which will mean it will be opposing Neptune. So another thing to remember, for those of you who are on the axis of Virgo and Pisces, okay, talked about relations. You already began a certain tale, a certain story with the lunar eclipse in Pisces that pertains to you. Remember, you have Neptune either conjuncting your ascendant or in the same house of your ascendant, or opposing your ascendant. Both are equally illusory. And so that means that even the eclipse cycle, as long as Saturn is still the entire eclipse cycle, because with the eclipses have a couple of months of durations. Usually 1 minute of the eclipse is 1 month of duration, and so the eclipses are going to cover up for pretty much the entire cycle. And those eclipses that still have Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces are going to still be effective for the next of the period. This means that whatever fated action you take upon your relationships, partnerships, and enmities, pay attention, because your enemies might not be really enemies, and your relational partners might not be really your relational partners. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're enemies. It just means, just like I said, okay, earlier, with some people it can be a gender issue. With some people it can be okay, it's just something you're not seeing clear about, and something it can be about genuine compatibility. Okay, like I said, you think chart is not compatible, it's actually compatible, but the Neptune has to play its role. Some of you can think you are codependent, or your partner is more codependent than they are. But Neptune is going to go into Aries and going to, just going to clarify things. But still you will be affected by the events of the eclipse. So for those of you who are Pisces and Virgo, mitigate the expectations you have to, let's say, meet the love of your life and stay in love forever. But notice the longings that you do have, because they're going to manifest at a later time, perhaps upon nodal reversal from this axis. And when you've gone through, okay, whatever transitions you've gone in your life, but those longings that you have in life, that you have now, you feel them with the moon square in Neptune. they are here to manifest. They are not here to drain you. They are here to manifest. And you're going to see, for the miraculous healing that you will be receiving with Neptune, is in really miraculous ways, and even hidden ethereal or psychedelic ways or energy ways. But notice your longings. Your longings are dreams manifesting. So this is my best advice to you with Neptune. That doesn't mean there's not going to be loss. It's just that your longings are dreams manifesting. You're going to feel the grief, feel the loss, purge it out of you, and then you're making a void for what you actual longing to manifest. Okay, you're purging the grief, and then your dream come true. I can say it as a highly Neptunic. I have Neptune next to my midheaven, and yeah, that pertains to so many things. So so this is kind of like my update. This is important, that the action you have taken, remember this action, but also remember that there's a certain sort of not deception, but void, where you're still longing for something. You might be feeling the fulfillment, and even if what is now is not kind of like the real fulfillment, it is the longing for true fulfillment is meant to manifest. Okay, you want to feel, whether it's the letdown or the grief or the loss or the void, you want to feel that and let that manifest. Again, those of you attending to expandable children, you are holding a frequency that is gigantic, and how should I say it? This tend to bring situation where you feel that everyone around gets their dreams manifested. What about me? What about my longings, my this, my that? Just stick to the longings. Just stick to feel it. Just begin to just continue to manifest, and you're being courageous, and yes, have no fear. Okay, you're basically acting on your dreams. So there's really genuinely is nothing to fear when you're acting on your dreams, because no other life other than the life that is the life of your dreams would be